you.
Who's got the sweetest disposition? One guess who? Who never starts an argument? Who never shows a bit of temperament? Who's never wrong but always right? Who never dream of starting a fight? Who gets stuck with all the bad luck? No one but Donald Duck.
Hello, internet viewers. I'm the fairly odd gamer. As we continue Donald Duck. What is it, Donald?
You forgot something.
What do you mean?
Subtitles.
Oh, right. Well, it turns out that after the release of Going Quackers, I got a lot of comments wanting me to keep the subtitles on for Donald, mainly because you couldn't understand what he was saying after I turned them off. So this wish is for you guys. I wish for Donald to have subtitles. Alright, let's see if it works. Hey Donald, you ready for the next game?
Of course I'm ready.
Awesome! And it works! Anyway, let's continue Donald Duck Month with Paperinik.
Who's this Paperinik guy?
Well, Donald, allow me to explain. Ever imagine what Donald would be like if he were a superhero?
I would. I'm not saying now.
Rhetorical question, Donald.
What? Sorry.
It's okay, Donald. Anyway, this was the case of the Duck Avenger, a supposed comic book hero by Donald Duck as an attempt to get even with his relatives Scrooge McDuck and Gladstone Gander, but suddenly gets sidetracked by fighting other evil doings. He got his own comic book series called Paperinik New Adventures, or PKNA for short. Originating in Italy, he made his debut in a comic book titled The Diabolical Duck Avenger in June 1965. However, it never saw the light of day in America until 2015. It's surprising that not many people know about him, nor that he's relevant today. The character has been retold many times, only to have failed miserably. In fact, in 2015
OddGamer, I get to spend that down to my children and do not forget.
What do you mean?
Well, I never lost this GameCube game that you might want to review.
Let me see it. PK Out of the Shadows?
Yep,
So you're saying there was a video game based on this comic book character?
that's right.
Okay. Well, it looks like I'm going to review PK Out of the Shadows for the GameCube, but it's also known internationally as Donald Duck PK. So is this game as good as the comics were? Let's find out. After seeing that the game was once again made by Ubisoft, we get a demo of the game. Nothing to say about it, just wanted to point that out.
Showdown was shutting him down.
Yep, just get into it right now. We start off with an opening cutscene, and already it looks pretty good. It feels like I'm watching a comic book in motion, which I assumed they were going for. Anyway, we start off with Donald as a security officer at probably the tallest tower ever.
Right. I remember now. He's got that tower. I'm gonna get show my own screws.
Hold on, let me check the manual. Yeah, you're right. It is Duck Tower. Anyway, Donald falls asleep as he dreams of Daisy scolding him for his temper, therefore making his nephews taunt him. He then hopes one day that
I'll be a real hero. A superhero.
Donald then wakes up as he sees a floating duck head appearing on one of the screens.
So, you'd like to be a superhero, hmm?
What?
I'll take that as a yes.
This is Uno, which is translated in Italian as one. He's a supercomputer who's in dire need of help. After Donald is sucked up to the top of the tower via transporter, I think, one tells Donald to stand on the yellow circle and stand still.
What's your big idea?
Do it now!
I don't think.
Just do it! So Donald stands in the circle as one programs the computer telepathically, when suddenly,
Good grief, he's naked!
What's going on?
Oops, wrong button.
he then gets a suit that looks exactly like the one from the comics. But before his training begins, the alarms go off, and this hero, now known as PK, gets his first mission, or as the game calls it,
On-the-job training.
So according to one, it turns out there's an alien presence heading toward Earth. Oh, and did I mention one gives Donald the superhero name PK?
What is a PK?
I don't know. And why the different voice? Though I can at least understand what you're saying.
What's up with that job? Did you somehow say it once?
You have any idea what he's saying?
What?
Oh, sorry.
But there's no time to waste, as PK pilots his ship, which he then crashes into the ground covered with snow. He then enters the observatory as one describes PK the alien presence he was referring to earlier. It turns out that these aliens are duck-like creatures called Evronians. And what do they do exactly? Well, according to one,
The Evronians are an alien empire that thrive by invading planets all over the galaxy.
in this case, it's Earth. The Evronian race is led by an evil duck scientist as well as a general leader, Bat Duck? And that's about it from what I can tell. So after entering the observatory, we get a brief explanation as to what PK actually means.
Damn,
Yes, Donald?
I know what PK means. And talk about it, please.
Well,
Oh, come on, damn it. Oh, we do it.
I think it'd be best if I talk about what PK means. Fair deal?
Wow. Alright.
Cool. Anyway, PK is an abbreviation for the scientific Latin classification of,
Platyrincos Kineticus.
which is literally translated as Duck of Energy.
I can put the picnic cat together. There was PK, right?
Yep, right on the button.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy.
Graphically, the game looks pretty nice. While it does have a bit of celluloid graphics, I think they still have the 3D look to the characters. The space aesthetic looks pretty good in some of the levels, though sometimes they look pretty dark in some areas. Did this game not have enough light to fill up the whole area? Donald? Maybe it's just me. I ask this because there are many times where you can't even see where you're going and you have no idea where to go. That is until you find out there's a certain layer of ground that PK can punch through, but that's about it. But if you were to tell me what the gameplay is like in this game, that's a different story.
What you mean, Jammer?
Well, Donald, let me explain. The basic gameplay for PK is okay. Use the control stick to move and press the buttons to either jump or attack by shooting at enemies with a device called the X Transformer. You also press the R button, making shooting much easier for you. You can even get power-ups for your X Transformer, such as hovering over large gaps, a super punch to smash through weaker ground, and a remote-controlled X Transformer, used to get through tight spaces. However, the one power-up that I don't like very much is the Supercharge, which lets you break through Evronian shields. At first, it seems pretty awesome, but there is a catch to it.
What does you catch?
You can only get the Supercharge to work if you have enough health. And this is my problem with it. Why do you need a specific amount of health just to get the supercharge to work? Why can't I just use this whenever I can? It just doesn't make sense. The only time you ever use this is either destroying enemies with the shields and the boss battles, which I'll talk about later. Actually, there is one thing that I am okay with. If you don't have enough health to power up your supercharger, shooting at the shield multiple times can give PK extra health. But it still can't help me at the slightest because they'll still attack you even when you're trying to grind for health. You also collect these green coins called activation stars, which you use to power up these transporters if you collect at least 15 of them. Think of them as checkpoints if you lose a life, in which you have unlimited lives. There are also tokens used to power up limited weapon variants that make PK shots more powerful, like fire bolts or rockets. In addition, PK has to rescue scientists that have been captured by the Evronians. The way to rescue them is to get to them before time runs out, otherwise they'll be teleported away, never to be seen again. You'll know how close you are to the scientist when you see the PK logo popping out in the direction of where each scientist is. However, if you do die before time runs out, you then get another chance to save the scientist. And if you die after saving the scientist, whether you make it to a checkpoint or not, the scientist will be considered safe. While there are 6 scientists per level, not including boss battles, at least 40 scientists have to be rescued in order to unlock the final area. I did come across this one point where I died right before time ran out. And once I tried to get to the area, the scientist was teleported away at this point. In my opinion, this is not fair. I thought this game was supposed to be for kids, not hardcore gamers. The Evronian army includes slaves, which are called pool flames, soldiers, and even surfers.
Hey dudes, did somebody say surfer?
Hey, Hux, what's up?
Nothing much, dude. How's it going, Donald?
Hi, Hux. Very well, thanks.
Awesome, dude.
So, Hux, what are you doing here?
Well, as some of you know, I happen to be a surfer myself. In fact,
That's
once
great, Hux, but this is an Evronian surfer. He surfs on air instead of on water.
Oh, an air surfer. That's even more awesome.
And sure is. That's it, Gemma.
Yeah, it does.
Excellent, dude. Anyway, I gotta catch up on my reading. Later, dudes.
Huh. I didn't know Hux could read.
Well, you got something to laugh at, Dad.
Anyway, back to the story. After exploring the coal mines, PK finds his ship as Computer One interrupts him from his second thoughts,
My scanners have been picking up abnormal activities in the Nevada desert.
which happens to be the next level. And what's it like, you may ask? Well, in the words of Anakin Skywalker,
It's coarse and rough and irritating.
And that's something, Mom.
how'd you know that?
I don't know. Let me guess.
Well, it is Disney. We then meet up with the Evronian scientist we saw from the first cutscene named Zoster. According to the manual, he often chooses solutions which seem to comply with the orders received, but actually suit his own purposes. He has a machine that is shield protected with lasers and projectiles. Once PK shoots at his weak spot inside the core of the machine multiple times, the machine begins to malfunction because of a
Miscalculation? Oh, that's rich. I don't think so.
However, Computer One tells PK to return to the Duck Lair Tower as quickly as possible. After encountering lots of enemies and saving scientists, PK returns to the lair tired and wanting a break. Well, it was a hard game to get through, but I finally managed.
Not just yet, PK.
Oh, come on! There's more?
Yep, I know it's all getting into. I get back to it, Gemma.
You know what, Donald? You're right. Let's finish this game! So Computer One tells PK that the Evronians are coming from an unidentified spacecraft just above Earth's orbit.
Or maybe a warship.
So PK and One make it to the mothership as One tells PK that the Evronians already know that the heroes have arrived. PK's final mission is to get to the control room and watch out for Zondag. And for those who don't know, Zondag was the bat duck I was referring to in the beginning of the game.
Oh, Gemma, got no more so that, please.
Actually, the game does tell us about Zondag. Take it away, PK!
He's the highest-ranking military officer in the Evronian Empire.
If I recall, Zondag has me aboard this ship.
You've done it again, Donald. Well done!
Thanks, Gemma.
No problem. PK finds a stolen outfit that also comes with a special weapon that shoots an invisible orbs that can be used as platforms. Not to mention that this suit is basically an upgraded version of the PK outfit. There is an option where you can go back to the original outfit, but why would I do that? Not only does the PK outfit have on now look much better, but it's also stronger and can destroy Evronians in no time. And look, you can even destroy the Evronian shields without having to use the supercharger. Finally, this game starts becoming fun again. PK eventually meets up with the final boss of the game, General Zondag.
Come, bow before the mighty General Zondag, or feel my wrath.
The only thing I'm gonna feel is the ground shake after I knock you out. I'm gonna make sure your face hits the ground nice and hard.
PK, you might want to work on your insults a bit. They're just too weak for me. The final boss involves passing a bomb to Zondag, and this is the only time you use the supercharger in the upgraded outfit. Not only that, but you also have to avoid laser blasts, which you can easily zap away and therefore getting more health, and avoiding these spider-like mines that damage you once you touch them. Once you damage him 3 times, Zondag then pops out of his chair and zaps PK to a lower level of the control room. And this is where the boss starts becoming difficult. Zondag shoots out horizontal laser blasts through the floor and a protected shield that PK is able to destroy. Once the shield is destroyed, PK can then super blast at Zondag. However, the gravitational field on how close you come to Zondag decreases as you progress to the boss, which explains why it feels like you can't move any closer to Zondag. The laser blasts increase in size, and these are the ones that you can't jump over because those can damage you, so you have to dodge the laser blast at all costs. I couldn't even beat the boss after my first playthrough. However, after a few attempts, I finally managed to beat Zondag once and for all.
Really? It seems you made it through a hard time to beat Zondag.
I sure did, but it was worth it. After super blasting Zondag enough times, Zondag is defeated as PK delivers his most epic line in the game.
Just call me PK.
Computer One congratulates PK and has now become a true superhero, but they manage to abandon the ship at full speed. So the warship explodes as PK finally gets to relax at the beach. Or so he thinks. It turns out he was actually in the tower the whole time.
Oh no! Is that what I think it is?
Well, yeah, that was awesome. So, how was it?
Well, Donald, I hate to say it, but I don't think it's a good game.
That's not bad, yeah.
But there are some things that I liked about it. It's not the worst game I ever played, but it's still not good. Graphically, it's alright. I love the character designs and models, and I enjoy the comic book feel to it. But it's mainly because the game is based on a comic book series called Paperinik New Adventures, which was a comic book series created by Disney Italy. Though I do think some of the levels looked a bit too dark. I also like the music in this game. It is composed by Daniel Masson, who also did the music for Going Quackers on the Nintendo 64, Dreamcast, and the PC. And I think he did a pretty good job with the music here, even though it does use music cues from a library. The gameplay is what I had mixed feelings about. Even though PK controls pretty well and can target enemies, making shooting at enemies easier, it's the shielded Evronians that I dislike the most, especially when using the Super Blaster. It can make the game more tedious for you, and it's something I wouldn't even try, but it's something you have to be good at if you want to beat the game. Out of the two games I reviewed so far, I'd still recommend Going Quackers because not only is it easy to beat, but it's also a fun game to play. Playing through PK Out of the Shadows feels more like a chore to me. Overall, PK Out of the Shadows is a mediocre game for kids, and it's something I wouldn't recommend unless you're that curious.
But Gamer, you're a bright side. The money is not over yet. There's a possibility to win the money on Zondag.
You're right, Donald. I can't let just one game ruin the month for me. There's a whole lot of Donald Duck games out there, and I think I have the perfect game to end the month on.
Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. I want game is it?
Well, Donald, you'll just have to wait and see like everyone else.
Oh, sorry.
I'm the Fairly Odd Gamer, and I wish you all good luck for the rest of your day or night, wherever you are. Take care, everyone.